This show sucks.
I'm here to kick some f***ing ass.
A Jedi doesn't pull her weapon unless prepared to kill.
Oh my.
If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them.
Meet Dad!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Asmogan. Today I got a bit of a different video for you. It's review / reaction to the first episode of Star Wars Acolyte. Holy fuck. Why do I hate myself so much? Alright, let's rip the fucking band-aid off. We're in the dark corners of the galaxy. A path of few learn to use the Force in secret. One of them, a learned assassin, risks discovery to seek revenge.
Yes,
Trinity!
we have
Okay, so before they even get into the assassination bullshit, I'm making a guess. So this fight's gonna have some back and forth, right? And it's gonna end with the assassin bitch nearly killing the Jedi, just showing how badass she is. She's gonna be just short of killing the Jedi, and then she's gonna slip out of there, and then like the whole show is gonna be tracking her down. Now, this show, I saw like one trailer of it before it came out, and I saw that someone pointed out somewhere online that the big twist of the show, that there's like this twin situation, was revealed in the trailer. Via like the closed captions, because they accidentally put in like both the names of the twins, revealing that they were twins, and therefore that was the big twist of the show that was being revealed. Now that I've watched episode 1, that didn't really matter much because they revealed that episode 1 not very far into the episode actually. So you know that's a little bit of a spoiler going in.
attack me with all your strength.
She's wearing like chainmail and like a... Okay, I'm kind of with them laughing right now. Bitch, you're an assassin! Am I missing something? Like, last I checked, assassins snuck up on the person and shanked them. Or shot him, or bombed him, or did like a million things. None of which includes walking up to them at a bar and being like, yo, bitch, let's square up.
Jedi do not attack the unarmed.
Yes, you.
Not by the strictest definition.
Come now, Master Kenobi. I know a Jedi won't kill an unarmed man.
What the fuck? Hold on. What the fuck was that? So just fight, bang, bang. Strong women, like, overpowering a bunch of dudes. Nothing new there. She fucking, like, rocket kicks that dude. Are you Okay, to be fair, this is supposed to be, like, a Sith assassin, right? So you can make the argument, oh, this was a force kick. But normally, in a visual medium like a show, or you can do one of two things to indicate to the audience, yo, we're using effects here. Number one, an audio effect. Make a like a air fluctuation sound. That indicates to us, the audience, okay, maybe she just used the force to amplify her kick. Total feasible way to do that, doing a force kick. Sounds kind of silly, but total way to do that. The other way to do it is visually, using all those special effects and that huge Disney budget you got, and showcasing like a like something to indicate to us, the audience, you used a force kick. If you don't do that, it's up to us, the audience, to then infer you didn't intend to imply that, meaning that this is supposed to be her natural physical strength. Okay, this chick is like 5'4", 130 pounds, 140 pounds tops, and she just kicked a full-grown man through a barrier. To be fair, it's like one of those flimsy, like, changing barrier type things, but still, like he went flying through it, like with the force of like he'd been hit with a cannonball. And you expect me to buy that? What's a lot of use you are, dude. Again, like, if she's using the Force, I can accept her ability to shove large, heavy things. Like, you can't explain this. Strong whammon doesn't explain... I'm sorry, this goes against any level of reality anyone accepts. You could have done this in a way that Star Wars fans, that you always call misogynistic, could have bought and would have been totally down for. You just imply it was the Force, either through auditory means or visual. You do neither, so you imply this is her natural physical strength. No one's gonna buy this teeny little girl, who's human clearly, kicked a large fucking metal like table across the room. Alright, come on, Trinity. Is that a really? A kunai? Okay, whew. I'm not gonna lie, for a little while here, like, Trinity's, like, Jedi... Oh, okay, she got away. Okay, so I was right. A little bit of back and forth, she gets away, and then the show's gonna be about Trinity's character hunting her down. I know that's not the name of the actress, apologies, that's just how I know her. Or not, she is back.
Stop, don't come back.
They got history? Okay.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to kill you.
Duh. Okay, so she can use the... Okay, but you see what I mean there, right? There was an audio cue. There's a... You know? They put something in there to let you know, and you know, as the audience, hey, the Force was used. They didn't do that with the guy she kicked through the barrier and the table she kicked across the room. In neither of those occasions did they indicate Force was used. This is the first time the Force was used clearly. And also, Trinity reacted to, again, apologies, I don't know the actor's name, but the actress who plays Trinity clearly was surprised by that, and it was a reveal to her just now, meaning that earlier wasn't a display of Force. Now, to be fair, part of the surprise here is also she clearly knows this person. Like, why? Why do you intentionally put in a thing there that just feels illogical? It took you that long to draw your lightsaber. Okay.
A Jedi doesn't pull her weapon unless prepared to kill.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Now, I know Disney doesn't know jack shit about Star Wars, as they've showcased over numerous movies and shows since they bought the fucking property. But I can point out numerous occasions Jedis have drawn out their lightsabers for non-lethal force. For not even combat usage. Like, lightsabers are drawn out just to use as a fucking impromptu torch through a dark cave. Are you kidding? Like, they will just pull them out and be like, I can't see this cave. Shh. That's better. Yeah, they use them for that purpose. They also use them to cut through barriers that are normally impassable. Like, such as, obviously it was a combat scenario, if we reference episode 1 of Phantom Menace, where Qui-Gon used it to try and break through the barrier of the Trade Federation ship. But even outside of that, Jedi have also used it to break through debris and like when it comes to aiding civilians. So let's just say it's been an accident, a building fell on them. Jedi have used lightsabers to, you know, cut open traps and stuff. Literally, I can think of countless examples through what's still considered, even by Disney, canon lore of lightsabers being used in non-combat, non-killing scenarios. So that's just a dumb line. A Jedi only draws their lightsaber to kill. Huh? Really? No, she just okay. She didn't kill her, though. No, you're fucking with me. Okay, just wounded her. She's about to get saved by other Jedi, and she's gonna be, like, in a back-to-tank or something. You're not gonna waste such a notable actress. Did they seriously bring on such a legendary actress for nothing? Oh, don't pretend you give a shit, bitch. You already threw a kunai at the guy. You already tried to kill him. Oh, well, now I know he has a kid, so now it's wrong. Well, also, are you supposed to be a Sith? This shit you don't care about. You start the show off with such an amazing actress. You have this bitch come in and fight her. Okay, cool. There's some decent choreography. They make some vague, references to, like, a past they both share. And then she kills her. Unless they pull a thing where we get an edit and she's in a back to tank. She just barely missed her heart or some shit. That is such a waste. That is such a waste. Additionally, this has no impact. Like, we got to know, like, again, to give the show a chance here, if they don't take time through the preceding episodes after this to reveal the past between the two characters and to really make us understand the significance of that death just now, it's fucked. As it is, it's already fucked because, like, what's the audience supposed to feel from this? Is like, you start us off with killing this character who we know nothing about, and we're supposed to be like, oh, wow, I'm really invested. No, I'm just confused. I hate when shows do this thing where it's like, all right, we're going to do this big epic thing, and then we're going to explain it. Like, that's worked in the past in certain circumstances with certain shows and movies, but generally I'm getting tired of it because it's done all the time. Like, it's this retroactive, like, filling in the hole to make you care. But for a moment that's significant. Like, imagine if they killed Thanos to appeal to the Marvel crowd, as much as I don't love those movies, but appeal to that normie crowd. Imagine if they started a movie killing Thanos, like, and not Endgame, but the one previous to that. Names they blend in my head after so many times, but that Avengers. Imagine they started that with Thanos getting, like, the axe shoved into him and his head cut off by Thor. And then the rest of the movie was then showcasing, okay, here's the build up to his death and, like, why you should give a shit. That would be infuriating. like you can't make people care after it's already done. You're explaining to them why it happened, but it has no pungency. It has no impact, not because they know what happened. Now they're just having it explained to them. So the significance of it, though it will be filled in, doesn't have that same oomph to it. It's like, yeah, we understand it, but it has nowhere near the same impact as if you showed all that first and then led to that moment, had that significant moment. Then the audience can have, like, that understanding, that experience with the character in question, and then be like, oh shit! At least they put some of the budget in the set.
Why didn't you come out last night? You missed a wild trip to Nar Shaddaa with the piloting crew?
Yeah.
Yep.
What I do with my days off is none of your business, Philip.
No rest for the wicked.
Well, the wicked rest, they just don't brag about it.
Wait, hold on. So they just made, like, a line exchange there. It's like, you should have been there with us to Nar Shaddaa. I have zero faith in the writers of this show, but are they about to actually properly establish, like, distance and time? Because if, like, the initial thing is like, oh, they're gonna be like, oh, well, we investigated and we found that, the physical description given by the bartender matches yours, and like the Jedi go hunting for her, but then they're like, wait a minute, she's all the way in this sector with the Trade Federation doing a job. And she's near Nar Shaddaa was the implication there. So geographically, that location they just shot didn't look familiar to me, so it's a new world. So presumably, wherever they are geographically in the galaxy right now, if she's by Nar Shaddaa, and that planet that they just showed the assassination happen in, if that's significantly far away, and the writers established that, and that therefore the Jedi go to investigate, but then they realize, wait, you were too far away, so it couldn't have been you. And so they initially, like, write her off, and then she, like, wants to go with, because she's like, wait, the person looked just like me, and she, like, remembers her twin sister or something. Like, I'm trying to get, like, come up with ideas that could be fun before it happens, just to see if my predictions are ready. But a part of me feels like I'm giving them too much credit. Alright. Hopefully hopefully the rest of this unfolds with a better thought process or a better plot writing than I could come up with as some shitter on the internet. swear to God, though, if they use that excuse of, oh well, everyone else would partying, but she was still on the ship, so it could have been her. Except she's on a ship, so presumably there's security, right? It's the Trade Federation as well.
What is taking so long?
You can imagine that these fuckers would be like, there's cameras everywhere.
Mechanic.
And that was the pressure valve.
I got it.
Well, okay. That is possible. And granted, I'm not like a scientist here, but this is my basic understanding of how the vacuum of space works. Flames don't hold up unless there's an oxygen source. There's no oxygen. Now, if that was like, let's say that's an oxygen valve that just blew up and is leaking and like caught fire, that could work, but the problem is that those flames look like a campfire. They're random and they're flowing as if there's like some kind of like wind or shift of air going on. If there is an oxygen valve or something like that that bursts and catches fire in the vacuum of space, it would look like a blowtorch flame, because it would be very directional, very thin, and it would stick only to the oxygen that's leaking out. And as soon as it properly gets vented into that vacuum of space, it immediately dissipates. So depending on how much oxygen and how fast is leaking out of the given source, defines how big the flame is. But no matter what, it would look kind of like a blowtorch flame, not like a fire. Now granted, this is a nitpick. If the rest of the show's writing ain't bad, I'm willing to look past this, but I have no faith.
Jedi?
Friends of yours?
What was that? Nah. Okay. I need to look at that again before I'd be too dismissive. What the fuck? You know what? I'm not going to shit on it too much. It looks practical at least, so brownie points there. I'm happy they're doing practical makeup.
To what do we owe the pleasure of
I'm sorry, it
Jedi
does look silly
presence
though.
on our...
She's a mechanic. Freelance out of ship repair, she bunks ship to ship.
Mechanic?
Why would we have mechanics here? The Republic has legislated that only droids may perform out-of-ship repair.
Wait, what? Oh, the Republic has mandated that only droids can do out-of-ship repair. Don't get me wrong, like, I can see the advantage, and I don't understand why the Trade Federation would use people over droids, because if people die, obviously it's a lot. They made like a point of these, like, they're expendable, nah. But right, they are to you, but you're the Trade Federation. You guys are, you guys are a business. You guys are like a corporate thing, right? You're this body of trade. You have this thing called PR, right? Like, you don't want people to think of you in a negative light, even though they might logically think so. You don't want those kind of suspicions to be confirmed. You want to look as best as possible as a trade federation. If you hire a bunch of mechanics, I'm assuming that's just another name for a mechanic, to repair your ship as opposed to droids, what does that benefit? Presumably, you can make the argument, okay, well, maybe it's cheaper, but that doesn't make sense to me, because as has been established in Star Wars lore for the longest fucking time, droids aren't paid on like a month-to-month fee or anything like that. Once you activate them and you own them, it's like slavery. You own it. You don't pay it a wage. The only time you give a droid money is if you send it out to buy something for you. So a one-time purchase for a droid, let's say an R2 unit. This is, I believe, near the High Republic era, so maybe the R2s don't exist yet, but a similar droid, like, we saw a droid earlier in, like, the bar, right, handing out drinks. So presumably there's some kind of level of astrometrics droid. Why not buy one of those? It might be upfront more expensive than, like, the upfront wage for one of these mechanics, but long-term you're saving money as long as you maintain the droid, because it'll work for free.
George?
What? Wait, she knows him? Okay, well, 10 seconds back. What is that? Like, What am I watching? What the fuck was that? Oh. I must dramatically get off this bed. Why?
Ran a visit.
Alright, this is a do or die moment for me, plot-wise.
So how long have you been a mechanic?
Okay, so they're either gonna... So they're suspicious, like, with that lightsaber draw and everything, they're suspicious about her being the assassin. Okay, that's fine. That explains why they're there. But they should be about to clear her. Because, again, they haven't established it yet, but hopefully they're about to establish the distance between this craft. It's clearly near Nar Shaddaa, because they mentioned just the previous night having gone there for a party, so they're in Nar Shaddaa. So if they establish the distance between Nar Shaddaa, this ship, and that planet, they can establish how feasible it is for her to have been the assassin. Now, again, I'm presuming they're about to clear her, because this is either significantly far from that location, or this is a planet or moon that's actually really close to Nar Shaddaa. Okay, so she is really close, she could be the culprit. But what should either vindicate her not being the assassin or possibly add to the suspicion is they establish the ship's securities. Like, is there cameras? Is there a log in, log out for any craft that leave the ship at a given time? If there isn't, why? If there is, that should either clear her or they should, like, initially be like a Judge Dredd situation where... For those who've seen, like, the Stallone one, anyway. Not Dredd, but Judge Dredd. In that, he gets convicted and stuff and takes to prison, right? But then it's later revealed that the records were falsified about his assassination of the journalist dude. So, that scenario is either going to happen... Again, this is assuming the writing is not utter shit. Like, I've already had some issues with what they've done and chosen to do thus far. I'm very, very much an asshole about... everything Disney Star Wars. So I am right now under the assumption that that's what they're about to do. If they arrest her and they don't establish the geography or the distances anyway, the logistics, they don't establish that, they don't establish the security of this craft and why or why not it would be recording people going in and out. But I'm getting the vibe anyway that they're going to clear her. Because though he went for his lightsaber when she like put her hand on her side, he didn't actually draw it, and he didn't actually, get up on her. Like, he waited, and they're about to talk to her. I'm probably giving them way too much credit.
When did you join the Order?
When I was 8. Lord knows all of this.
A major concern about admitting you to the Order was your age.
And the fact that you were mourning.
Okay, that's a lot of information on once. So, she was part of the Jedi Order. Not just like this guy's friend, but actually part of the Order. And she was 8? Unless Disney's changed, well, they did just say they hesitated to let her join because of her age. I'm trying to remember if like there was any kind of comment about Anakin being like the only one to have ever done that or not. I don't think so. I think they implied it's super rare though. So they're already establishing her as having like that level of rare exception that kind of Anakin had. Again, it's Disney. I don't expect them to do this, but hopefully they qualify that. It's like, okay, why? Hopefully they don't pull midichlorians out of their ass. Hopefully they say, like, oh, the Masters sensed potential in her. I would buy something as simple as that. Just give me something. But don't just leave it hanging. It's like, oh, well, they accepted her at an exceptional age. It's like, okay. But even with that, I just caught it. But they just also mentioned that she was also in mourning. And there was like those whispers earlier she heard of like children screaming. If that tragedy involved the deaths of numerous people she was close to, or maybe like her whole like sect of people she's from, the Jedi may very well have forbidden her allowance, even if she was an exceptional Force user at the age she was, because of that circumstance. Because any negative emotions they bring into it, and into the practice of becoming a Force user and being taught lightsaber forms and being taught combat and then being brought on missions and stuff that the Jedi would send their knights and consulars to perform, that would be an extreme hazard. Because putting her in high-stress situations where her PTSD or similar things could be triggered out of her, it could cause her to go to the dark side. And if she has a proclivity to that, which is another reason why they don't typically let older people in, because of those vulnerabilities. Yeah, like, so not only do they have to qualify on its own why she would be made, an exception would be made for her to join as an 8-year-old, but on top of that, they need to qualify, like, if they pull out this kind of, say she's like the chosen one, right? I'll be pissed, because Anakin was the chosen one, as far as we know in the lore. Well, technically, Luke was there's a bit of an argument there, but Anakin, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I think Lucas was even concerned, was the chosen one. There's never been a mention of another chosen one. Now, this is Disney Star Wars. I don't have much faith that they're not going to pull some shit. I mean, at this point, the Force was just 2 lesbian women who scissored the galaxy into existence. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Kathleen Kennedy behind everything and all.
You lost your entire family. Your mothers, your sister, your village all died.
He's telling her backstory. Why? This is such a lazy exposition.
Your training was difficult, to say the least.
Film and television are a visual medium, primarily. Yes, there's audio, but visual primarily. Why are you telling, not showing? And it's even dumber, is you were so lazy you didn't even have, like, they could have easily remedied this. Like, have them have, like, a back and forth, and he's like, he just needs a moment with his Padawan, because they're, like, going over the evidence, right? And they're going over the situation. And then when his Padawan asks him, like, who is that young lady? You know her, like, I have all this information, but could you tell me more? And then he explains to her all this. That's different. He's explaining to someone who's not in the know. This dude is explaining to the person whose backstory is applicable here what the backstory is. It's so dumb and jarring.
Where were you last night?
On this freighter, in this room. Why would I kill Indara?
If I recall correctly, Master Indara advised the Jedi Council to discontinue your training when you were...
Okay, hold on. She just said, I was in this freighter in this room. Are you going to qualify, right? Are you going to qualify where the freighter is? Because they just said they were near Nar Shaddaa. So where's the planet? Now, people who are gonna defend the show are gonna be, well, clearly the world will be close to Nar Shaddaa then. All right, let's presume that. The ship would have internal security. They're clearly not gonna do it, but are they gonna qualify why they can't confirm her alibi? Like, presumably, this Trade Federation ship would have internal cameras and internal sensors, and a log on whether people have left or come back on certain ships at certain times.
She killed the Jedi and ruined my bar.
You brought in... So, okay, so clearly, because they brought him in, that's their witness testimony. Gotcha. Have you confirmed that her alibi doesn't check out? Now, it's fine if they arrest her from here, and then they continue to investigate, and then it's like, oh, wait, this ship security says she didn't leave. And then there's like, okay, no ships were checked out. Nothing. Like, everything indicates she was still on board. And then you also can establish, like, they could do a whole Law and Order thing here. That would be so fun, and be cool to do in a Star Wars setting. And instead, there's like, witness testimony. Okay, it was you. That's it?
Have faith.
Is that the guy from Squid Games?
I see fire.
Sith.
It grows larger. It consumes anything that's...
Time for lunch.
Child literally sits there and is like, I see fire, hellfire, brimstone, death, murder. It's like, alright, let's break for lunch. No, what he said after was not sufficient to address that. Like, that's a sign of Sith stuff. That's dark side energy right there. And you're like, she just needs a grilled cheese. Like, okay. To be fair, it's clear that someone's come to meet with him. So maybe he's just doing a mental note later. It's like, all right, that fucked up child. I'll address that later.
The evidence against her is strong.
Eyewitness testimony. And again, writers, you haven't established why her alibi isn't good. Like, eyewitness testimony is probably one of the most legendarily shaky evidence in real life ever. Like, believe it or not, people are like, really? Eyewitness testimony, like, in this situation? Eyewitness testimony in scenarios where people's adrenaline are pumping and they're, like, freaking out, yes, it can be extremely wrong. And there's also a lot of other factors that can make it unreliable, like bias. Like, there's so many reasons why it's actually weak evidence. Now, if you have a shit ton of witnesses that all collaboratively confirm something, then boom, you're good. But they only showed the one bartender. Now, again, being charitable, let's say, like, there's a couple others that they just didn't transport around, and he was, like, the primary one. But there's a bunch of people who are going to confirm what he said. They weren't there to confirm it, and they arrested her and already put her in the ship. So they're going just by his witness testimony to bring her in. But they did nothing to confirm or deny her alibi. And again, something as lazy as like, the Padawan mentioning, we checked the ship's records. They are unreliable and there's an error, or they were damaged or tampered with. Or something as, like, a bunch of... He's like, it is entirely possible that you stole a ship or took one of the ships that left, presumably written down for Nar Shaddaa to party with your friends, but then you took one of them and actually went and murdered this person on this moon or this planet that's nearby, and then came back along with your friends and timed it along with the party. Something to make the alibi, like, shaky or have as many holes as Swiss fucking cheese. This is not strong evidence.
If it were to become public that a former Jedi killed one of our own,
Our political enemies could use it against us.
discretion is important. Our justice swift, an example made.
What the fuck? Oh, God. Where do I even begin? Holy shit, where do I even begin? Our political enemies? You're not political. Well, technically you are. But what? The Jedi are a religion. It's like the Catholic Church. Political rivals? You're not like the Democrats and Republicans here. It's like the Catholic Church versus, like, the legislative branch of the government. It's like there's separation of church and state here. That's kind of existed in Star Wars as well. The Jedi Order are not a political branch. They're a religious order of monks, effectively. And they're having, she's like, this member of our orders might be a spy for other political forces, so we must talk on the down low. This could affect our public image. To get the Jedi Order this wrong, like, not just the Jedi Order, but to get, like, Star Wars this wrong is impressive. Holy shit, like, this is impressively wrong. Oh, I'm reeling from that one. Wow. So when you're running for office, Joe Biden's almost out, so I guess they're running.
I want to ask you both, because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And
we're planning an escape. You win?
So you'd rather leave your fate to the Jedi?
Yes. I have faith in the Jedi.
So wait, are there only droids on this ship? What about the Jedi? The two we saw earlier.
Bye-bye, Jedi killer!
I do like that. She went back to save him. Wait, there's two other escape pod ports. Just go to one of the other ones.
This pastime encourages sentimentality and nostalgia, and both of these emotions can lead to...
Our memories are lessons.
Okay, I'll let him cook.
If we don't meditate on the past,
we're doomed to repeat it.
Okay. I was about to agree with her, because she's right. Like, Sentimentality is the big thing. That's the whole reason that they take them as like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. They want to raise that out of them. It's like, okay, you're not supposed to have sentimental attachments because it can lead to the dark side, because it leads to emotional attachment, which then leads to the dark side. Because those attachments, if they're broken, cause emotional duress and strain, which leads to the bad emotions, anger, hate, rage, and channeling those through the Force connects you directly to the dark side, which... that old song and dance. But, to be fair, his point that he made just now is not entirely unfair. Like, even for, like, a Jedi perspective, it's like, well, if you don't reflect on your memories, you're doomed to repeat them. And if he was raised in the Order, it could be the argument, it's like, okay, he's not sentimental, he's looking back on this. The problem with his point, though, is where his breakdown is, he's not, like, going to the archives or something and looking up her records and her own like, some old training video of her, or hollows, I should say, of her, like, and, like, recorded art. He's pulling out a personal, basically the equivalent of a wallet photo, which is not just, like, logistical, logical, like, research, it's attachment. That's sentimentality. I'm assuming that's his current Padawan? Wait, what?
It was the Jedi killer!
What? Huh?
What the fuck is going on there?
Okay, you already captured them. I hate modern shows so much. They don't establish distance and time. So is everything we see happening on Coruscant in the future from what we see happening with Osha, I think her name was? Or is it all supposed to be presumably happening around the same time? If so, let's presume they that they came out of hyperspace really close to Coruscant. That doesn't make any sense because she landed on a fucking ice planet, and Coruscant is not at least showcased to be a cold planet, so presumably they're actually not that far from the sun. So astrophysics doesn't really work with this. Let's pretend for a moment here. How did they capture them that quickly and not detect the wreckage of the the prison transport on the ice planet and go down and also get her? Like, they left in escape pods. They didn't leave in another ship. Then they went into hyperspace and then let's just say they just got too close to Coruscant and they got captured. They were in escape pods, which are short distance, oftentimes not even really proper spacecraft. They're pods. They land on planets typically, or they just stay floating in space with a basic level of supplies until they're picked up. And the people who picked them up turn them over to the authorities. So presumably, the authorities were the ones who picked them up. Again, why isn't she in there with them? They escape pod right before she crash landed on a planet. So by all accounts, they should have also landed on that planet. But let's pretend that they were just far enough out that they didn't get caught into the atmosphere and dragged down. But they would have been floating nearby those asteroids. So the people who found them, unless they qualify why they didn't, it's like, oh, well, our scans are really bad, or that planet's atmosphere does something weird with our detections. We don't find it safe to go on that planet, or like something to explain why they were able to catch these guys, but somehow at the same time not catch her and detect her on that planet.
Any sign of life on Karlak?
The Republic dispatched probe droids to survey the wreckage.
I request permission.
Okay. And they didn't wait? Okay. Most generous interpretation. Let's say a small craft is what picked up the escape pods and the prisoners. One not capable of going near the planet and doing the investigation themselves, so they sent droids, and then they took the cargo, in this case the prisoners, all the way to Coruscant while the droids checked. Why would these guys be having this powwow conversation before the droids finished investigating? And again, that's mostly charitable interpretation. I don't believe that small of a craft would have been the ones to pick up these guys. So why didn't that craft just pick these guys up, put them in cells in their ship, and then still send the droids, wait for the droids to report back? It's like, hey, is there any other survivors? Is there another prisoner we missed? All right, if there is, we have to go down and get her. Or have the droids capture her, take her onto the ship, and then go to Coruscant.
May the Force be with you.
What, didn't want any seedy political conversations about like PR and how your political rivals would have a problem with it? No, now we're gonna go back to acting like you guys are an altruistic order. Is it the parasite? Is it? Oh. Oh, it's a force vision.
Master Soul, I thank you for choosing me for this mission. I should have brought Osha in myself. I apologize for my error.
Yod, put your clothes on.
You're a Padawan. Right? She, unless I missed a line where she's a knight. She looks kind of young to be a knight. But you're a Padawan talking to a knight. Now, granted, they're already establishing him as a bit of a buffoon with that. Well, maybe, to be fair, they might not be setting him up as much of a buffoon, as maybe he's, like, very vain, which is very odd for a Jedi. In either circumstance, it's weird for a Jedi. But it's not impossible, at least the buffoon part's definitely not impossible. It's unlikely for a Jedi to be vain, because that also has some sentimentality. Yes, for oneself, but again, it's still testy on where like the dark side emotions that can attach to. Like pride and vanity, those kinds of things lead to the dark side. Like an overinflated ego is definitely a Sith-like trait. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to establish there. Like he's vain because he was like doing this thing with his cloak. Or if they are to establish him as like a buffoon, like he's a moron. First of all, thanks Disney for keeping the woke bullshit active yet again with all the male characters. Granted, the master dude at least seems competent so far. I'm kind of worried they're going to make him an idiot later. Why do they always have to make the male characters stupid to make other characters, especially the female characters, look more competent? But on top of that, in universe, a Padawan just badmouthed the Jedi Knight. That's not her Jedi Knight. That's not acceptable. Like, that's disrespect. Now, granted, again, they're showcasing him not to be really worthy of it, but if that's the case, why is he a knight? Like, a Jedi Knight has to go through trials to prove that they are worthy. And part of the trials and part of the training is how they handle their emotions, how they handle their behavior. If he is a notable buffoon or a vain person, he would not be allowed to be a knight. Unless the standards during this era are extremely fucking low, which so far they seem it. Also, so far all the authority figures, like the most notable ones anyway, have all been female. Like the ratio right now is you have that green lady, you had the Trinity actress playing a Jedi Master as well. Okay, so there's two there. In terms of male authority figures, we have one so far in the form of this guy, but he's kind of overdone by the green woman. But so far, it's 2-1, literally, for authority figures. And in a circumstance where there should have been a male authority figure with the knight dude to the Padawan we just saw, well, to be fair, with his Padawan, he was an authority figure. So I guess we can count him. So 2-2. But again, it's kind of contradicted by the Padawan who just badmouthed him. Granted, not his Padawan, but still a Padawan. She is a lower rank than him. She is disrespecting a superior. And they're, through the cinematography and what they just showed in the show, they're making him out to be a buffoon and like an unreliable character. So if they continue to do that, he's not obviously really considered a proper authority figure by the show's own writing, so he's knocked off that. So, and the Padawan's almost knocked above him at that point, so now we're kind of at 3-1 for female authority figures or superiors to one male superior. And he's below several of the female characters I could list. So far it just feels like the matriarchy is pathetically strong in this. But as Kathleen Kennedy has said, the Force is female.
Put a chick in it and make her name it gay!
God, I miss when this Force wasn't gendered.
Hello, Osha.
May?
Hello, sister.
You better have your PPE around. Osha's coming to town.
Did you kill Indara? Yes. I will kill them all.
The whole thing was a dream sequence. Okay.
Okay.
I know what the robot's saying right now. Bitch, you tore my head off! To try and be generous to the show, yet again, though they've showcased at every point, their writing is shit so far in just this episode. There could be something cool with what they're setting up here. It was like they're twins, one's on the light side, one's on the dark side. They look identical. That can lead to some very interesting, very Star Wars-y storytelling, because Star Wars is very much it's a family story, especially with the Skywalker saga, and you can tell other familial stories through it. And that theme could be really good here between May and Osha. That's very interesting. That could lead to a lot of great intrigue. If they do it right. They're not going to, but they could have a story of like that, the yin and yang story. It's like one is of the light, one is of the dark. Yet they have kind of elements of each other still there, and when we see them fight, it'd be really cool to see, like a back and forth. Am I actually thinking that's what they're going to do? To be honest, if I'm going with predictions here, this is my currently running thing, especially with like the political conversation that the two masters had earlier, and the vague like back and forth that Trinity's character, Indara, I think her name was, and May had. I'm thinking that the setup is actually going to be a subversion of expectations, where the Jedi are actually the bad guys, and the Sith are going to be showcased as the good guys in this. Hollywood just really loves making traditional villains be the bad guys, and the traditional good guys be the bad guys. I don't know why. Like, don't get me wrong, it's fun to do like once or twice here and there, but it's all they fucking do. All the time now. And they still think it's subversion of expectations. It's not the subversion anymore, it's the expectation. I expect this bullshit of like, oh, the traditional good guy, well, they're actually the bad guy in this. And the traditional bad guy, well, they're actually the good guy in this. It's fucking old. Can we just have a story where the good guys you're setting up are the good guys, and the bad guys you're setting up are the bad guys, and there isn't like this weird... You can still have a gray area between the two. That's still fun and intriguing. Also more mature a lot of the time for storytelling. But there's nothing wrong with having a clear-cut bad guy, clear-cut good guy, and having it set that way. And not trying to do this weird role subversive thing, which again isn't subversive anymore. It's just the standard now.
16 years ago, I was posted on her home planet, Brandog. I was there when her sister started a fire that killed her entire family.
I didn't know Osha was a twin.
It's not in her file. Do you think that...
Cover up?
May is dead.
Pretty, especially with the musical score and everything and the thing, pretty clear he lied to them just now, which is not very Jedi of you, but it's Disney. They've turned the Jedi into a political party. Like, they're not a religion anymore, guys. They're a political party. Clearly. And he just lied to the Padawan and the Knight. Pretty clearly. And granted, maybe it was just a really bad setup and tone for this scene. And later it's going to reveal, no, he told the truth and that May's being lied to or something. But with the zoom in and the dramatic thing they're doing right now, it's pretty clear he just lied to them. And this was probably a fire or some disaster started by the Jedi. That's the feeling of the setup here. He should be freezing her. Wait, what? Did he have a golden saber? Also, this is a contradiction of the line earlier. A Jedi only draws his saber to kill people. No, he's doing the thing right now where he's lighting the cave. So... contradiction to that fucking statement earlier. Also, the reason I was surprised by the yellow lightsaber is because in traditional Star Wars lore, yellow sabers are associated not with Jedi Knights, but Jedi Temple Guards and Jedi Sentinels. Now, it should be self-explanatory why a Temple Guard would be a surprise in this circumstance to be seen here, as the name implies, they guard the temples, they guard the Jedi's religious sites. They don't leave those areas to go on missions typically unless it's associated with those guard duties. And even then, they would oftentimes pass along that opportunity and duty to a Jedi Knight and continue protecting the temple as is their duty-bound purpose. It also doesn't make sense for this individual showcased throughout this episode to be a Sentinel. Now, for those who don't know what a Sentinel is, Jedi Sentinels are a combination of Jedi Consular and Knight. They're a third school of thought within the Jedi Order. Again, this is traditional lore, keep in mind, probably not Disney canon. In fact, I'm certain it's not Disney canon. But anyway, what signified a Jedi Sentinel separate from something like a Knight or a Consular as a third school of thought was a balance between the two. They focused on an equal measure of martial combat and force practice. But that isn't the only reason that they are denoted separate from the two. Jedi Sentinels were also denoted separate from Knights and Consorts because of their utilitarian skills and their internal, independent nature. In fact, it's put best by Jedi recruiter Morat Chigali, who is the creator of the school of thought within the Jedi Order, who said thus:
"In my view, it's possible to know too much about the combat in the Force. If it means you know next to nothing about intelligence gathering, computer slicing, technological surveillance, or espionage. Sentinels approach these disciplines from the bottom up, without assuming that the Force will reveal all the answers. When you do this, you'll find there's a great deal the civilians of the galaxy can teach us."
Now I ask you, does that sound like this guy?
Master Soul,
Yod, put your clothes on.
What's wrong with Yod?
Nothing. No, he's Yod.
Saul!
Can't you just read her mind? And he was doing that with a bunch of other people so far. Granted, with the weak mind. I don't know how guarded she is.
Oh, shit.
Come on, dude. You're being very openly sentimental here.
I believe you.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
The Jedi live in a dream. If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail.
That's a lot of damage.
Steel or laser are no threat to them.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
With a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them.
Okay. It's one thing to contradict existing lore that you clearly have no fucking respect for. But fuck! You have your own goddamn continuity with this goddamn show. You're in episode 1, and you're already contradicting stuff you're establishing in episode fucking 1 that you yourselves put in. You've done it twice in a row. Where a lightsaber has been drawn and it wasn't for lethal use, so that's bullshit. It was already bullshit, but it's more bullshit. And now, despite the fact that a Jedi Master, Dara, was killed with a fucking kunai, a knife, and now you're saying, a Jedi cannot be killed with a weapon. They cannot be killed with laser or like blade. It's literally what happened in your own fucking episode at the beginning. So that was a lie. Leslie Headland, you can go fuck yourself. Executive producers Kathleen Kennedy, shocker. Simon Emanuel, cuck. Executive producers Jeff F. King, Jason McClure, cucks. So yeah, that was episode 1 of The Acolyte, and it is really, really bad. Like, holy. I shouldn't be surprised. I really shouldn't. The fact that I'm sitting here in, like, this aghastment, it shouldn't be the fate. Like, we've seen Boba Fett. We saw how bad that was. We saw how bad Ahsoka was. And keep in mind, that's coming from a fan of the Clone Wars cartoon. Like, I grew up on that shit. But that Ahsoka show was horrid. Mandalorian ended off on a shit note. Honestly, like, just everything that's come out from Star Wars from Disney has been absolutely horrendous, and has been only going further and further down the shithole. But yet, somehow, this is still impressively bad so far. Like, comparatively. I don't even know what else to say other than that. Like, it is really bad. And the whole thing, like, you looked at the credits, Leslie Headland. It's like, just put, it's like, that's clearly, this is their baby, right? And I looked it up. Leslie Headland is the former assistant to Harvey Weinstein. That tracks. Oh my god. Like, there's so much I could shit on that but I've already said it all. Like, I've said it all. This is shit. This is shit. Like, don't watch The Acolyte. Don't watch The Acolyte. This might be the only one I react to, unless you guys really want to see more, like, of me suffering. Leave a like if you want that. Feel free to not leave that like, by the way.